1996 death of rapper Tupac Shakur. The young rapper was just 25 years old when he was shot in a drive-by shooting on the Las Vegas Strip. Davis has previously described himself as a witness to the murder, writing in his 2019 memoir that he was in the car when gunfire erupted. He also implicated his nephew Orlando Anderson as one of the two people in the back seat where the shots were fired. Today, Davis is the last surviving suspect to the crime, and in just a short time, he will make his second court appearance to formally enter a plea ahead of his jury trial. And Anjanette Levy is out in Nevada for today's hearing. Let's hear from her now with the latest.
I'm Anjanette Levy in Las Vegas. The man accused of ordering the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur in 1996 will be back in court later this morning. Duane Keefe Davis faces a murder charge with a gang enhancement. He's expected to enter a plea to that charge.
The record reflects that Mr. Davis is present in custody.
Davis was in court 2 weeks ago for his arraignment, but he didn't have a lawyer with him, so the arraignment was continued. The 60-year-old former Southside Compton Crips gang leader is being held without bail on that murder charge. Prosecutors say Davis gave a Glock handgun to his nephew, Orlando Anderson, to shoot Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight on September 7th, 1996. Retired Las Vegas Metro Police Lieutenant Chris Carroll found Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight at Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard.
This layout has changed over the years, but it still has the same basic shape.
Carroll said the scene was chaotic, and he asked Tupac Shakur who shot him.
Well, he looked at me and he got his breath together and, kind of got himself, and he went, "F you." And he said it like that with anger in his voice, like he didn't want to deal with me, basically.
With witnesses not telling what they saw, an arrest couldn't be made. But then in 2018, Keefe D started talking about the murder.
So how did you know Tupac and Suge was in the black BMW?
He was hanging out the window.
Davis also wrote a book in 2019 entitled Compton Street Legend, describing that night in detail and the moment that shots were fired at Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight as they sat in a black BMW.
Hey, Keefe, Metro Police, come over here.
All of those factors led to Davis's arrest on a murder charge nearly 3 weeks ago. Duane Davis's arraignment is scheduled for 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time. Stay with Law and Crime for continuing coverage of this hearing. I'm Anjanette Levy in Las Vegas.
Thank you so much, Anjanette, and we will hear from Anjanette after the hearing. But for now, I want to introduce to you Corey Pegues, who will be with us on our Duane Davis coverage today. Corey is a retired NYPD deputy inspector and author of Once a Cop. Thank you so much for joining me, Corey. And as we wait for this hearing to begin, what are your initial thoughts and what plea is he going to take here?
Well, my initial thoughts are there's something wrong with this guy, Keefe D. He's an attention grabber, attention seeker, because no one in their right mind, after all of this time of getting away with the murder, again, he's allegedly the murderer, had something to do with it, passing the firearm to his nephew. I don't know why he would come out and go on this tour. He pretty much went on a tour to tell that he was one of the people that was involved in the vehicle. And so being involved in the vehicle is an accessory to the crime.
But here's the deal, Corey. 27 years ago, this is when this happened, when Tupac Shakur was murdered. It's been a very long time. Why now, and why do you think it took the police so long to make this arrest?
Well, as me and you was talking off camera, I like to always tell people that's not intimately involved in police work that it's not 40 minutes and 20-minute commercials. It's not a TV show. This is a very tedious process. And this was a national murder. This is one of the biggest rap murders in the history of, rap murders. So you want to get it right. You don't want to lock the wrong person up. You want to make sure that you get it right. Now, granted, I come from the big bad NYPD, 40-something thousand police officers. We have a whole division of detectives and a whole nine. Some of these other smaller police department municipalities don't have, what we have. So it takes them a little longer, but almost 30 years is a long time. But I'm just glad that they were able to piece the pieces of the puzzle together and actually get a suspect now.
Now, he was being held without bail since his last court appearance when his attorney did not show up. What do you expect to happen this time around?
I expect for him to have an attorney, and I'm expecting for him to plead not guilty, just like everybody else. And we'll see. But what I'm most excited about is to see what's on the list of that search warrant at his wife's house. And we probably won't see that today, but I want to see what's on that search warrant, because in my experience, criminals like to keep trophies, and I'm excited to see what he has in there. It could be something that he wrote. Is it something, is a piece of ballistics out of the vehicle? Because I don't think they ever recovered the gun. Was it the gun? There's something on that search warrant that I think that was vital, and it was a major piece for them locking him up.
Now, this case is still making headlines after almost 3 decades because there were so many conspiracy theories about this murder, and then also with Biggie and when he was murdered and how they were intertwined. People love this case. Now, when you talk about the trophy that all the evidence that they're going to find out, why do you think he wants people to know about this so bad? In one of his documentaries, he said himself, I have cancer. This was back in 2018. He says, I have cancer. I'm the only person who's living that knows what really happened. It's now time for me to tell my truth. But do we really want to come out and tell our truth that, he was involved in this murder? What is in it for him now?
I don't think that he had an epiphany and said, hey, listen, before I go to the pearly gates, I want to confess my sins. I think he's an attention seeker, a grabber, and he wants to stay in the headlines because you got to think about it. He's got away for 26 years, 25 years and some months. He got away with this, and he's been out on YouTube, on podcasts, freely talking about it, and no one has knocked his door down to put the bracelets on him behind his back. So he actually thought that he could get away with this, but just like every other criminal, one day we'll come and find you, and his day is here.
Now, looking ahead, if this does go to trial, who do you expect to testify? I mean, could players like P. Diddy, could Suge Knight come out? I mean, could they come and talk about this? Suge Knight has actually said in the documentary that he does not want to testify, but could it happen?
Not with Suge Knight. Suge Knight is a real gangster, and the definition of gangsters, it probably has Suge Knight's picture on there. He's not telling. He's no Sammy the Bull. He's not talking to the police at all. And that's just the gang culture. And that's why I don't understand why this guy Keefe D is out there. But he was in the gang, the Southside Crips, but he was more of a major drug dealer, like his nephew Orlando that did the shooting. He was really gang banging. So let's just wait and see what happens. I'm very excited about it. But you got to understand, Jam Master Jay, Tupac, Biggie, these are 3 of the biggest names in rap, and none of their cases have been solved. I mean, Jam Master Jay, I think we got some closure over there. But the whole rap world wants justice for Tupac's family, for Biggie's family, and from Jam Master Jay. These are major players in the rap game.
Well, you mentioned Keefe D as an attention hogger. All eyes are going to be on him today because he will be arraigned in Las Vegas, Nevada around 12 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, we're going to have that coverage for you. We're going to take a look at the body cam footage of his arrest in just a moment, but we do have to take a quick break here on Law and Crime. Much more to do here in a moment. Welcome back to Law and Crime. We're focused on Duane Keefe D. Davis this morning ahead of his arraignment that should be starting up very shortly. This is the former gang leader charged in 1996 death of famed rapper Tupac Shakur. The artist was shot in a drive-by shooting on the Las Vegas Strip, and Davis has since admitted to being in the car where the shots were fired. Davis is the last living suspect linked to the death. And while we wait to go live into that Vegas courtroom, I want to take a look at some interviews Davis gave on YouTube as it relates to his involvement. Take a look.
Why was y'all in Vegas in the first place?
Come to the fights. We was going to the fights before the rappers, before Suge even had a record company. We've been going to the fights since like 88, 89. Yeah. Come down there for the big fights.
So did y'all have tickets to that fight?
Yeah.
Y'all did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got them from my little scapper partner. Scapper. I used to go to the games, the Raider games at the Coliseum, and he used to be in front of the thing. I found out he was a scapper, so we exchanged numbers. So any concert, sporting event, I would call him ahead of time and get the tickets.
What day did y'all show up to Vegas?
I came on that Thursday.
That Thursday?
Yeah.
And the fight was on a Saturday. Y'all showed up on a Thursday. And if I'm not mistaken, the day before the shooting, you spoke to Suge Knight and Tupac, right? A day prior?
I didn't talk. Tupac don't know me.
But Suge Knight, you had a
Yeah, we was waiting on our cars at the valet at the MGM, and they pulled up, and they Rolls Royces. And
tell me about that, because that was a Friday. That was the day before.
Yeah, and he got out and came and shook my hand. What up, big dog?
Suge Knight.
Yeah, that's why I didn't understand why would they jump on my nephew the next day. I was stupid.
Okay, so he came up to you, he shook his hand. And
shook my hand. What up, big dog? What you doing? You know, and all the because all the bras was around him, and so they was like, who the is this dude? He must be powerful. You know what I'm saying? Everybody must have looked at it like that. Damn, he just came out of the crowd just to shake this dude in. Yeah.
So just take me through that Saturday, everything leading up to the incident.
We had got tickets from the scapper dude, and he had us placed all over. And we was gonna meet at the cafe after the fight. That was all our plans. So everybody had was coming to the cafe, and I seen some of our partners from 11-8 East Coast Crips. They like, hey, they just jumped on your nephew. Like, who? Said some death row. Like, bullshit. And they're like, yeah. And we ran into the lane inside the lobby.
So y'all ran into your nephew Orlando. What did he say to you?
He just said they jumped on him and stuff like that. And I asked him, was he all right? He said his shoulder's kind of up. I guess from getting kicked in the shoulder or something, he said his shoulder was up.
How mad was he?
I was more mad than him. Yeah. Why would you know what's up? Know who people that is.
So what exactly did he tell you? Did he tell you like, yo, Tupac jumped on me, or?
He just said that death row jumped on him.
And the only injury he had was his shoulder.
His shoulder was kind of.
So pretty revealing details there by Keefe D, as former NYPD Commander Corey Pegues is back with me here in studio. And Corey, as we listen to this interview, was that not enough for the police to act on something?
Well, I believe that Keefe D was implicated very early on in the investigation. And watching this interview, just the portion that we have seen, he's not really making any incriminating statements. He's basically saying that he was in Vegas. That's his nephew. His nephew got jumped, but he's not saying anything about the shooting. So they had already spoken with Keefe D a few times, the police. I'm quite sure they have interviewed him a few times, but he never didn't give the linchpin where they could just say, okay, we got to lock him up now.
Now, keep in mind, 14 years ago, he did talk to the cops and they made a deal. He was going to tell them some details about the incident, but he was not going to be prosecuted. But now he has been. And what is the difference between then and now? What was it that he said that could possibly make him now be arraigned?
Well, we don't know what the deal was. Was it a statute of limitations on the deal and he didn't know and now he's out? Because it doesn't make sense. If he had this deal where he couldn't get prosecuted, why would he be out talking? So that just makes me believe when he had a deal for a certain case. I don't know what the deal was for. It was probably for one particular case. And after that case was taken down, the deal was done. And now he's back in the game.
Well, I'm sure we're going to learn more from that courtroom later on today. I want to go back to that interview because later on in that interview we just saw, he touched on the way he was feeling when Tupac was in the hospital. Take a listen.
Just take me through that week where y'all in LA and Tupac is in the hospital. Everything is on the news.
Yeah,
What was your
mindset? That MTV man, he made me sick. What's his name? Mike Lipkin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that mother was that moon man. Oh, I hated that. You know.
But how was you feeling, man? Like Tupac being in there for a whole week, you know, people saying he gonna survive, you know.
How was I feeling?
Yeah, like how was you feeling? Like, because everything is on the news, it's rumors going around that y'all did it. Tupac is in the hospital fighting for his life. Just take me through that entire week where, you know, all this is going on.
I'm a crip from the streets, bro.
Yeah, but this is a high-file situation, yo. Like, everything is on the news, MTV.
And I lost my mom at 15. So it ain't nothing I really, you know, I didn't feel nothing. Just another day, I had to keep it moving. Plus, I'm responsible for 300-400 kilos. That's just part of the business.
Well, as you watch that, Corey, I mean, it doesn't seem like he feels any sympathy, really. He was seen chuckling, laughing. This is a man who self-describes himself as a hardened gangster. So when you look at his demeanor and how he is, are you surprised at where we are now?
No, not necessarily, but when you're in that life, that's what it is. So I'm not surprised at what he's saying. But if you go back to the previous interview, the clip we was looking at early when he was talking about the incident inside of the hotel, some of this stuff, you know, just his body. I'm not an expert, but his body language, his movement, some of it looked like he was fabricating to me, just for me a little bit. So I don't know like how intimately he was involved in this, but we do know that he was in the vehicle because he placed himself inside of the vehicle. And the difference between him being a hardened criminal and now, I don't know, but you asked me earlier, who's going to be subpoenaed? I can't wait to see what his wife says. That's going to be the key, his wife.
Well, as a former NYPD commander, how difficult is it to execute a search warrant, to now go into his house to look for all the little details involved in this?
Well, it's not that difficult if you have the information. So once you have the information and you go to a judge to get the judge to so order, once the judge listens to what you have, the judge is going to say yay or nay. Like, you got to go back and get some more, or wow. Here we go. So ordered. I'm signing it. Take the door.
Could we see a bombshell? Could we see him come out and say there was someone else that was also involved in this?
With his demeanor, you don't know what this guy, I think he's a loose cannon. So we don't know what he's going to say. We don't know what he said on the interviews before. So I'll be excited to see the list the prosecution has for people that's coming out to speak.
Why do you think this case has really captivated not only the hip hop world, but any true crime junkie, the media? We love this case.
We love this case because Tupac was a trailblazer. I mean, this guy went from talking about F the police to Brenda had a baby. You know, so he went to all different gamuts. You know, his pendulum swung from being this lover to being this old gangster, and then you have all in between. So he actually, if you took the gangster away from him, you look at old videos of him, he looks like an all-American kid that was a middle-class guy before he started, got with death row. He was like an all-American guy.
Did you think that at all he had in his mind, knowing that Nevada does not have the statute of limitations for a murder case? I mean, basically, it could be 50 years. He could still be charged. Did you think that that went through his mind at all before spouting to everyone about all the details?
No, I firmly believe, and you can see he's not so educated just watching him talk and stuff. But he's a gangster, and these gangsters, and again, in my experience, these gangsters really think that they can get away with murder. And that's why we have prisons full of them all day. And some of them are probably innocent, but most of them that commit crimes,
What goes into it? What
to confirm in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna appoint counsel in 2 weeks because we gotta get this case moving. Do you understand? All right, Mr. Goodman, you understand?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, we'll continue this case for 2 weeks. That date is?
November 2nd at 8 a.m.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Benito?
Thank you, Judge. I'm here on George phone, page 3.
Just 1 second. Calm down.